this is part 2 of our Are We in Hell seminar 497 here at Starseed University. So this is an open seminar. It is being shared with the Are We in Hell group on Reddit because it is directly inspired by them. Some very strange things have obviously been happening during the filming of this seminar, and we did discuss it in the first one. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm just going to keep going so we get through it, and then I will go back to Lumania and out of this hellish realm. So yes, at the end of the last session, we said that indeed we are in hell. And we gave a lot of background and proof, through the scripture that proved to us that yes, indeed, we are in hell. So we have a new pen and a bigger one, because bigger is better, isn't it? Not always, though. Sometimes it's the motion in the ocean. So in this next section, we are going to be looking at how we game the cube. So in part 1, which is linked in the description box, we talked about what the cube is, how the cube is designed. And now we're going to talk about finding the kingdom within and how that works. So just a little bit more background, and I recommend you stay for this part, because this is all part of how a schema works. A schema is a mental framework, a schematic, you might say. It's a system of thinking that works similar to the algorithms on your social media platform, algorithms. And how these schemas work is based on psychological profiling. And there is a study, a group of studies, that companies such as Kantar, CNS, I believe, uses in order to deliver the right messages to the right people. And some of these disciplines that we study in order to build a schema vary from anything as mundane as the social sciences of anthropology and sociology. Things as mundane as psychology. Things as mundane as marketing. And then there are more specialized things that you can get, such as ethnography. And then there are other even more specialized things that you can get, like semiotics. And so I specialized in film. Semiotics, which means that I can get, according to what they tell me, I can get the right audience to the right message, story. And stories are very important. Oh boy. Because stories are not just about the characters that you're watching. Stories are about you. You are the main character. When we develop a story, when I develop a story, I use something called dramatica theory. It's a free book. You can get it online for free. It's 300 pages, and it is a schema of story. And it tells you that your purpose as a storyteller is to make the audience feel what the main character feels like. And when I was at school, this effect is called an affective effect. I'm not really technically supposed to say this, but you didn't hear it from me because, you know, this is all a movie. You can trust me, I'm an actor. This could be argued. Let's ask Dr. Surf Moran at Columbia. We support Columbia here. So he didn't say this, but let's ask him. Just now the thumbnail is going to make it look like, let's ask Dr. Surf Moran, but it's similar to a technology, a phenomenon, a biosemiotic phenomenon called imprinting. And when we talk deeper in the other classes, I will bring out the psychology book and we'll look at conditioning. But this is not for that. This is how to get out of hell. So in terms of imprinting, that's pretty much the goal of a schema in the context that it's being used here. What is that context? Well, I'm telling you this because this is how you game the cube. So by the end of this seminar, you will see how you do this from the ground up, or rather from the top down, because that's how the pyramids were built, remember, from the top down. And so when we talk about imprinting or creating an affective effect, it's similar to the effect you had at school versus, this is the blackboard, by the way. Here are the tables. Here's the teacher. Okay? Versus the effects you had at the cinema. And you're all sitting in the seats, watching a movie together with strangers. So how come you went to school for 12 plus years and you can hardly remember anything. This is your brain. Okay, there's your brainstem. And you cannot remember anything. But you went to watch a couple of movies once or twice, or maybe you're an addict, okay? You watched it 100 times, but still nowhere near as often as you went to school and got drilled with the same information. So how come you can remember a famous line from a movie, even though you watched it once or twice or 100 times over your lifetime? And you remember the scenes, you remember what they said, what it looked like, what it felt like, to the point that when you're in it, you feel like you are the character sometimes. When you're in your real life, you kind of use the character of Fight Club or The Matrix or Long John Silver or Johnny Depp in almost anything Johnny Depp's been in. Bradley Cooper, whoever you use, those are the people that act as a schema for you. And so when you're in a situation with your boss and they are trying to get one over on you, then you will turn into your Tyler persona and you will tell him where to get off. And so in the moment, you are gaming the matrix because both of you, your boss and yourself in that moment, are most likely going to know the reference of Tyler Durden. And so let's say you start beating yourself up. Metaphorically speaking, this is a movie seminar. They will know what to expect next. And since Tyler won in the end of the movie, you can pretty much bet that you will win as well and get Helena Bonham Carter in the end. Everyone wants Helena Bonham Carter in the end. And so a schema can theoretically be used as an entertainment tool for real world gamification to make life more fun. Because I mean, it's either you can stay here and be a baby of Babylon, or you can transition over to a world of sovereignty where you no longer have to follow the gods of this age, but you can decide what kind of life experience you want. Kind of like Total Recall, you know? Except it really is a game. And gaming Metatron's cube just means a little bit of creativity, I think. And that's what we're going to look at now. So let's suspend disbelief and say you have been cast by Scribblebytes, a virtual film studio, and we've signed you on for a one-picture deal. We want to see how you do with this role that we are casting you in. I mean, what have you got to lose, right? You live in hell. So why not, give it a go at being an actor. And the part that we want you for is a sci-fi we're doing. And at Scribble Bites, we really like working with our artists and bringing out their, true essence on screen, because we really, really want authenticity. So that's why we chose you for this role, because you are really in touch with your emotions. A lot of people aren't able to go deep into their struggles and their pain, especially on a public forum. And it's really inspiring, and it's the kind of ethos we want to embed in our studio, because we want people who aren't pretending, but who are acting. And we take acting, at Scribble Bites extremely, extremely, extremely seriously. Because ultimately, in order to understand acting, you have to understand the history of it. And the history of it is kind of like a trinity. So, for example, Konstantin Stanislavski is the godfather of acting. He wanted to move away from naturalism and more into realism. And it's kind of like the same way we change trends in music, like we had this phase in the early 2000s with Britney Spears that was like this funk 70s sound, Max Martin and all those guys. And then we also had that shift into more of an EDM sound, deconstructed, like Kraftwerk. And then it changed to disco, and everything was a nightclub. And then it changed again to hip hop. I don't know what it is now. I think it's, well, I'm doing disco, so I don't know what everybody else is doing. But the route that Konstantin Stanislavski took was that he wanted to perfect the shift in acting. He didn't just want to make a trend. And so think of it like a shift from like impressionism to expressionism, and or like impressionism to cubism, maybe that's too far, and then just working on perfecting the form. And so he came up with what we now consider acting, what you're going to be doing. And this is your preparation to game Metatron's cube. So your kind of trifecta of acting influences that you can use, or that came out of Konstantin's new school, included Lee Strasberg, and Stella Adler. These two are very different approaches, but they get you to the same place, and there is an unofficial war between the two in Bizarro World. But at Scribble Bites, we don't mind which you use, as long as you use something, because with everything, you need to be responsible. And in your new role that we want you to play in our sci-fi picture, you can use these to your benefit. Lee Strasberg invented something called the method. And they own that. So I cannot tell you anything about it. You'll have to go ask them about it. Then Stella Adler invented, what did she invent? She invented like the acting I do. I don't know what it's called. I call it magic circle acting. It's where you use your imagination. So you don't have to actually go and sit in a wheelchair for 9 months in order to know what it feels like. Some actors do that, and that's okay. Others of us have many jobs to do, so we use Stella. And then, and don't be fooled, this is a lot of research though. But it's easier to research something for some people. And then this one is similar. So let's go over it in green to Stella. But it is blue. Very different in approach and application. I probably butchered the spelling. Meisner technique. Sanford Meisner. And so, as an actor, you can use any of these techniques. I encourage you to look into them. There are exercises online and trained professionals to work with you. And there are tons of free classes on YouTube and like showcases and stuff. So in the modern age, I recommend Ivana Chibuk as an acting coach. Now, when you approach a schema, and that's what all of these things are, these are schemas. The purpose of them is to help you connect. A lot of people, when they are talking, are waiting for someone else to finish what they are saying so they can say what they want to say next. That is a disconnect. And a disconnect is something that you as the communicator are responsible for. That's what we learn in Comms 100 in first year. So when you learn how to listen, as you do in acting techniques, especially Sanford Meisner, it's all about listening. You are able to practice something that Jesus says when he says, paraphrasing here, turn the other cheek. Now, what I am explaining to you now, I want you to be clear, is not a way for you to accept or even try being a passive doormat. No. You are not turning the other cheek to be a doormat. You are turning the other cheek to pause. These pillars in your mind represent a pause. And when you pause, you are able to actually listen. And do you listen with your ears? No. You can hear with your ears. but you listen with something I like to call, as my grandfather used to say, your BS detector. That's the secret to great acting. And that's why I personally love using Sanford Meisner in the real world. And then when I'm working, I use Stella Adler. Because Sanford Meisner technique forces you to activate your BS detector instantaneously and rescue yourself from a world of pain in the moment, instantaneously. So I recommend that you look at Sanford Meisner technique and employ it with the fellows over at the acting Reddit, actors, okay, and work with them online to practice. I'm sure they'd be more than willing. And then it would make it a lot easier to employ and understand the next part. So I'm sensing some of you are thinking, what does he mean, listen? Listen, this isn't very clear. I have to go look at some other reference to listen. Okay, so if I came to you and I said, hey, I've got a way for you to make a lot of money in 24 hours. Immediately, your BS detector should ring off. That's what I'm talking about. Why is it that your BS detector will ring off for that scheme, but not for other schemes that you find yourself in Bizarro World, the circus, clown world? And we hear a lot of stories online and on TV of people who are falling for these things. And in seminar 1, we talked about what those are and why. So now let's activate your mind for your new character in our movie where you play an alien. So in the movie where you play an alien, this is what happens, right? So you go to this desert and it's like there's no water anywhere and you really, really want to rest. And you see this pyramid up ahead in front of you. And you go inside the pyramid. And in the pyramid, in the center of the room, there is a sarcophagus. And inside, you put this thing. We want to use CGI, maybe AI. It's going to be like a hologram of yourself that you put in through this device you're holding. And it goes inside the sarcophagus. And the sarcophagus is actually in the middle of this room. And how do I show you? So it's like this in the room, and you are inside this pyramid. It's like futuristic monolith thing. And then you're lying inside the sarcophagus, and your light body starts seeing the constellations of the sky, the cosmos. But it's like a hologram, and it's a circle coming around you. And you are spinning around as the constellations spin around you and move with you. So you get to see them all. They are moving anti-clockwise from your perspective, and you are moving clockwise as they turn. So the first one that you see is the sign of Aries in the movie, right? This is the opening scene. We haven't even said a word. We're still rolling credits. And then you turn around, and you see the sign of Taurus. And then you turn around and you see the sign of Gemini. And you turn around and you see the sign of Cancer. And it keeps going, and you see the sign of Leo. And it turns in the desert. And you see the sign of Virgo. Is this right? And then it turns, and you see the sign. You need to look it up if it's wrong. Let's just go with it. Improv, guys, improv. Die. Okay, keeps turning. This is a workshop, guys. Relax. And you see the sign of Libra. And we keep going, and you see Scorpio. And we keep going, and you see Sagittarius. Well, you see Ophiuchus, but let's see Sagittarius. We'll put that here. And then we keep going, and we see our friend Capricorn. My Capricorn friend is going to not be glad. Okay, and then you see Capricorn lights. Oh boy, Capricorn is not happy. Did you guys see the lights change? Cap. I know this. Capricorn. I'm going to draw Saturn instead, because that counts. Capricorn. If that is Capricorn. Okay, that is Saturn, right? Not Jupiter. Guys, I don't do dog arts, so please. Don't. Just go with it. You see Capricorn. You see Aquarius. And you see Pisces. Oh my goodness. Hang on. You see Pisces. I love this. Okay. Welcome to Star Marine Academy. Starseed University. Okay. You see the constellation band around you. I actually went around the whole time. Love it. Okay, so this is your magic circle in the movie. Once the VFX guys do the previs, you guys are gonna love it. So now, as you're lying in here, you've gone through the entire procession of time. And so you have been charged with the light of all these stars that represent these things. Because there are 7 of them. And their light shines down on you in the opening scene, and you have this white light all over you. And it's like beautiful. It's amazing. Okay, so we weren't able to make this movie 10 years ago because, oh boy, because the Christian theme of the film wasn't taken on. And so the main influence of it was a revelation. This was the theme of it that inspired it, and I'll read it. It's from Revelations 21, the New Jerusalem. And just visualize how we're going to do this. So just listen. Now I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Also there was no more sea. Then I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. God himself will be with them and be their God. And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. Then he who sat on the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said to me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said to me, It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega. The beginning and the end. I will give of the fountain of the water of life freely to him who thirsts. He who overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. But the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls filled with the 7 last plagues came to me and talked with me, saying, "Come, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife." And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. Her light was like a most precious stone, a most precious stone, like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. Also, she had a great and high wall with 12 gates, and 12 angels at the gates, and names written on them, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. 3 gates on the east, 3 gates on the north, 3 gates on the south, and 3 gates on the west. Now the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them were the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And he who talked with me had a gold reed to measure the city, its gates, and its wall. The city is laid out as a square. Its length is as great as its breadth. And he measured the city with the reed. 12,000 furlongs, its length, breadth, and height are equal. Then he measured its walls, 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of an angel. The construction of its wall was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like clear glass. The foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with all kinds of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th jacinth, and the 12th amethyst. The 12 gates were 12 pearls. Each individual gate was of 1 pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, like transparent glass. But I saw no temple in it, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are its temple. The city had no need of the sun or of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God illuminated it. The Lamb is its light. And the nations of those who are saved shall walk in its light, and the kings of the earth bring their glory and honor into it. Its gates shall not be shut at all by day. There shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and the honor of the nations into it. But there shall by no means enter it anything that defiles or causes an abomination or a lie, but only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life. And that is you, because as Jesus later says himself, in chapter 22, Revelations, chapter 22, verse 16, I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify to you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright and morning star. And verse 20, surely I am coming quickly. Amen. Even so, come, Lord Jesus. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you all. Amen. And so, he is here. That's the first scene we open up with, where you wake up with your light body in this scene and you see Jesus. So, what are you going to be seeing? Let's talk about it. So if you're no longer seeing hell, what am I telling you to see? Well, first, see yourself. Who are you? Let's look at John 15, verse 19. Who are you, dear one? John 15, verse 19. Remember on Charmed when they used to just have the thing blowing the pages open for them? Yeah, we should get that. I need to talk to the Scribble Bites. Okay, John 15, verse 19. There we go. So you are here because you are upset, because you've noticed that we are in hell, as we've established in Seminar 1. So, okay, let's delve into that upsetness. So John 15, 19. There we go. Oops, here. I want to see if it'll focus for a change. If you were of the world would love you as its own. Yet, because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. There, did you see that? Yet, because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. And so that is okay. So when you are in a situation this is a dramatic schema. The world hates you. Jesus. John 15, verse 19. I didn't say it. He trademarked TM. So then when you are working on manifesting or going through your day, let's not use the word manifesting. When you're going through your day and you go through an experience that is less than ideal, experiences, just remember, it's not personal. It's because you are aware of what's happening. And so you are aware because in the film, you've been chosen by Jesus. And in the film, we'll do it like this whole genetic DNA thing where you are chosen through some genetic sequence thing, like a comic book, comic book movie. So you, in the movie, wake up. It's like this sliding doors thing where we do like 2 dimensions at once. It's very Fountain of Youth. What's that guy? Darren Aronofsky. It's very Aronofsky. but more pop, more Disney, broad audience, broad appeal. And so you wake up in this world and you're just a normal person, and later on we'll see you going through these things, and you'll tell yourself, okay, I'm an alien, I'm not from this world. Jesus told me in John 15:19, I am an alien. You are an alien. Jesus told you, it's written there, you are not of this world. You are not of this world. Okay, it's written. TM, Jesus, 2,000 years ago, okay? So, my actor, let's go to Philippines. Let's go to, should I move this one? Oh, that's better. Okay, the Philippines. Philippians. So we want Philippians 3:20. Come on. To see more, it's one of these hidden pages. There we go. More about our real, place where we live. So you are not from here. So where are you from? Okay, let's look at Philippians chapter 3, verse 20. This is where you come from in the movie. For our citizenship is in heaven, from which we also eagerly wait for the Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ, who will transform our lowly body, that it may be conformed to his glorious body, according to the working by which he is able even to subdue all things to himself. The word. Your citizenship is in heaven in the movie. So you're walking around as this character. And, when I act in a movie, I don't like to keep saying you're a character. You are this alien, okay? We don't play characters. We play people. Citizenship, so you are the alien. Citizenship is in heaven, okay? So that's where you come from. And in heaven, you have been transformed, right? You are transformed. The same way that Jesus transforms, the lowly body to the light body that we're talking about, that we showed in the first scene, the glorious body. So from the lowly body transformed what's the transformer sign in physics? I'm putting recycle. Transformed into the glorious body. glory. Not like glory in Buffy. Well, no. More like you are Buffy. Okay, so you are transformed. Yeah, like that time the master thought he got Buffy and then Buffy came back. That's the one. Buffy transformed from the lowly body to glory. Look, don't blame Joss Whedon. They made him change certain things in how Buffy was supposed to go. But we know, the true fans know his heart. I know your heart, Joss. Okay. So it's given that your citizenship in heaven, and just like the ruler of heaven, you get to benefit from the technology of transforming a lowly body into your glory. Now, again, let me give an example. Concept checking questions. Okay, so we all remember that we said this side, the left-hand path, Luciferianism, if you want to call it that, or just blind, followership, turns you into a baby where you need other people to make decisions for you, even though you live in a democracy, which is interesting. So in this, kind of scenario, you could take the Klipothic route and say, okay, I'm going to transform my lowly body into my glory body by working out all the time and trying to make myself look good. And yes, your reality will change, but it's still dependent on kind of a bondage of corruption, because your hot body is futile. It's not going to build anything, that lasts. If you are doing it because of this thought in your mind that you have to, I don't know, get revenge on people, or show that I have to show you, I'll show you. You dumped me, I'll be better than you, and that's how I'll get revenge. That is a good strategy, because at least it's picking you up out of the rubbish dump physically, but you're still serving the gods of this age because you are worried about things that perish and are of the lowly body, like a baby. And so when we talk about the glory body, it's not about the physical body, it's about the mind. That's the best word to talk about it in this seminar. And so as you play this character, the art of listening is that art of getting information coming into your head or brain, and then being able to listen with your body, your emotion, your feeling, your BS detector, your instinct that you're born with, and then trusting that inner voice that you hear inside, so that you can hear correctly with your entire being, also paying attention to nonverbal cues, things like tone of voice, pacing, diction. What words are people using to talk to you? And then letting it filter through all your energetic bodies. Let's talk about them now. We go more into depth in this, but I will briefly show them using Melanie and Phillips's structure. So what is this green part? What are you actually doing? Now, this is the part where they would sell you a course and tell you, come join the course. and cleanse yourself. Well, Jesus is coming soon, so you don't have time. At Scribble Bites, we need you, it's the film business. You gotta jump in there. I don't have Spielberg money to send you to a boot camp. Okay? You're Matt Damon. You don't get to go to boot camp. So when you are listening, you're going to hear something and you're going to think about it because someone is talking to you, even if it's pre-recorded or live or right in front of you, and you are going to have a mental, logical percept of what they are saying to you. So look at the schema I'm going to show briefly as the way information filters through your body. So it'll hit your mind. And as a trained film semiotician, I know when I'm looking at someone what they're thinking of. Normally, also because of Meissner technique, because in your mind there are some things. I'm not going to touch on everything, this isn't the seminar, but I'm just going to do one, something called like your preconscious reflexes. So whenever people are talking to you, you are giving constant preconscious reflexes to every single word. And that's why as an actor, when you learn a character's diction by spending time in their environment, then you get to lock into certain preconscious reflexes of a certain subculture from which your character comes from. And so you're an alien. You don't have access to aliens. So I'm giving you a schema from Jesus, the original alien, who literally says he's an alien, for you to model your character work on. And so when someone talks to you or when you're listening to someone, look at their preconscious reflexes, because just as you have them when you're listening or talking, vice versa, you know what I'm saying. So when someone is talking, they have these reflexes based on the level of belief in what they are saying. And you can pick that up. And your body does it naturally. The only question is, do you go with that BS detector or not? And if you are a baby, you don't, because you will defer to what your guardians have told you. But if you want to live your own life in the Matrix, working with the Matrix or Metratron by playing the game, then start to look at people's uncontrollable reflexes. Then information should filter through. So what is your first gut feeling when someone's talking to you? Like what is your first feeling? Within the first 6 seconds is how you would use it. And then it would go through another filter. This isn't in any order, but that filter would be the situation. So when we say situation, we are talking about time, as in past, present, future, or progress. So I'm just going to put time. And I'm explaining it this way because it's a really long book, and this is the best way I think would help you onboard into the book. So when I talk about time, I'm talking about it in terms of as a structure, a history. So the person you're talking to when you're listening, or whatever you're doing, what is the history behind it? Does it affect your past, your present, your future, or is it getting you to your goal? So if I tell you, you have to play this character, this whole pitch, let's do it meta. If I tell you you're playing this character, is this going to help you get over the past? Is it going to help you achieve something in the future? Is it going to help you with how things are going now? Or is it just now to keep you in the present moment? And I would say this is to keep you in the present. Because that's where you hold most of your power, right? That's where you have all the options. You can't choose something that hasn't come yet. And you can't go back and change a choice. And so how is this, or what you're listening to, what you're doing or saying, where does it root you in time? Where does it put your focus? And then let's talk about desire. Because without desire, it's very hard to do something. So wanting leads to action. But action can only occur if you have the means. And a lot of people take the means to be money or resources, some sort of means of production. And so when it comes to changing your body from a lowly level to your glory, you're going to have to think about these things with every single piece of information you take in. Because in a sense, this is in and of itself a kind of cube or grid. And this grid allows you to view your life as either a display where you are looking at it objectively, or as a splay where you are in it in one of these blocks of your choosing, wherever you want to place them. And from there, decide or see where your main energy for decisions or thinking or even your proclivities is coming from. So if I say, let's go out for ice cream on Skype, I'll call you on Google Hangouts and we'll have ice cream together after this. Some of you will immediately say yes as a reflex. Why? Do you have time to do it? Are you free? Okay, obviously yes. You want to do it, but what are you actually wanting? Do you want to have ice cream or do you want to just chill for an hour? And then obviously you've got the means to have ice cream. So now that's telling me something about you, that you have the means to do it. So now based on your reaction, I know what you are generated by, in a sense, what's driving you. And with gaming a system, you take in the information, you look at it from a display, and then you analyze as a character, okay, where am I going to come from? If I say yes, I can have ice cream, but if I say yes, then I'm showing that I probably am in a situation where I have money because I don't have to work and I can just do things on a whim. So this person's going to know I have money. If I say, oh, I'd love to, but I don't have time, then I seem busy. Okay, if I seem busy, that can help me in my future business prospect because I want to be a businessman in my character that I'm playing or in the fourth act of the play. Maybe I'll say I want to do it, but I can't afford it. And then I'll see what they're gonna do, and then I'll know what their true intention is now. Instead of just saying yes and then finding out over time what their true intention is by just acting and doing it. So once you have a schema like this developed by Melanie and Phillips and another gentleman, Chris, oh my gosh, guys, I forgot the name, but I know, I remember you too. You are able, and obviously John Hull, who's done more work on this. However, when you are able to look at your responses from different angles, you are now playing the cube. And then you are moving in this space in the middle, in your heart chakra. You are going with your feeling because you are listening and then you're taking it in and thinking about it. Most importantly, you turn the other cheek and think so that you know how to respond. And that's the secret to acting. And in real life, you are bred almost to have these wild reactions all the time, which keep you in a lowly state where you need a guardian to help you. So let's look at some of the things I think that are stopping you. Well, the main thing that I think is stopping you from using this, and this isn't some kind of dark hoodoo. This is a psychological study I did in first year of film semiotics, and it's called Managing Impressions. And there are 8 impression management, shout out to Trevor Noah, techniques. And you should look these up because they summarize a lot of the stuff you do here manually on a matrix. You really need to go look up her matrix. It is absolutely magical. And you have to listen to the story of how she came up with it because she literally took it from aliens. I claim Melanie as a Lumanian. Okay, Melanie, we stand you. Without her, I wouldn't even be here. Okay, so look up impression management techniques and you will be able to see that when you're talking to certain people in this world who know this information, we are profiling you. I will add one of my studies that I did before this most recent one, which, allowed me to be released from that contract. And in that study, you will see how I personally profiled the people that I was studying. In fact, you can look it up on Scribd and look up P.N. Matendra, netizen. And you will see how these come out in an academic paper. And when you know these techniques, they become a kind of shorthand in allowing you to just listen a little bit, better in a situation so that you are able to game the system. because that's what this is about, gaming the cube. Now, gaming the cube is not something that is new to civilizations on Earth, because all of us have suffered from some form of shared sin. Okay? Sin is a moon god. And these are some of the things that stop us from experiencing and using our gifts to our full abilities. And I don't like the word sin because it just has such a bad semiotic. So I prefer the word guilt. And guilt, if you read Tillich, is something that people are born with and they use as a shield to keep them in a lowly state, you know, because it's easier to be in a lowly state when you beat yourself up about it all the time. And I'm not here to say you need to change at all. I'm just here to say these are the keys to the prison planet. And so when you are in this lowly state, it's mainly because you are suffering from what I would say is guilt, or one of the 7 deadly sins, if you want to call it that. And so one of the main ways to eliminate guilt is with the sun. And what I mean by that is you shine a light on the guilt. So it could be anything that you're ashamed of or feel bad about. Maybe you stole a chocolate when you were 11 years old and you didn't tell anybody. And now because of that, you've created a complex where you think you need to be punished. Maybe you cheated on someone. And now, because you broke one of the 10 commandments, oh my gosh, now you think you're a bad boy, because that's the programming of Metratron's cube. Every single movie has the same plot. I always used to wonder, like, what would happen if someone just made a movie where nothing happened? And then I saw adaptation, but that was still really good. Don't get me started on Charlie Kaufman, because then I'm going to start gushing for days. Okay, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't exist. Let's put Charlie Kaufman here. We stand Charlie. Okay. And so when we shine a light on the guilt, this is a way of integrating it and putting it on display. And when you put it on display, not to the world, to yourself in the actor's workshop, then you are able to really feel it through all your mental, spatial, physical, psychological centers of your body. And you really get a full experience of living in the present moment. And the guilt is really what's keeping you in the prison planet. And let's turn to 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 11, to see the word on that. That's 1 Peter. So not the normal Peter, the 1 Peter. 1 Peter 2:11. There we go. 1 Peter, right? 2:11. Beloved, Monique is in the building. Beloved, I beg you, as sojourners and pilgrims, abstain from fleshy lusts which war against the soul, having your conduct honorable among the Gentiles, that when they speak against you as evildoers, they may, by your good works which they observe, glorify God in the day of visitation. Therefore, submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether to the king as supreme or to the governors, as to those who are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers and for the praise of those who do good. Beloved, I beg you, as sojourners, I'm saying sojourners, okay, and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul. That fleshy lust wages war on the soul through guilt. I want this to be clear because there is such a huge mental block to this. Let me read it one more time. Beloved, I beg you, abstain from fleshy lusts which war against the soul. So we are not talking about fleshy actions, and we are not talking about the body. So we are talking about lust that wage war against the soul. So we are not talking about your body, because you know you have a mind, body, and soul. So we're not talking about your mind. We're not talking about your body. We're talking about your soul. What is your soul? I'm going to give you a definition of a soul that you probably haven't heard before. Your soul is your imagination. Why? Because it is speculative. And so when we read 1 Peter, it is not the fact that you drink a lot of beer, smoke cigarettes, swear a lot, that makes you trapped in hell or trapped in guilt. It's the fleshy lusts. When we talk about fleshy lusts, we are talking about your Saraswati chakra, because that is the seat of your boing, boing, boing. And you can have different types of lusts which do not wage war on your soul, such as spiritual lusts. let's change that to self-actualization for our Muslim friends. Okay, so you can have many kinds of lusts. Lust is not the problem. Lust is just an emotion. It's energy in motion. But the ones that Peter tells us about are the fleshy lusts. Those are the ones that wage war on the soul. And what is the soul? The soul is your light body. Another word for a light body is your conscience. That thing that you have to sleep with every night by yourself, that thing that is with you all the time, that knows everything you did, that saw everything. That one. And so this, the fleshy lusts, the lusts which keep you in a bondage of corruption because they are easy to fulfill. They are easily fulfilled. They are futile. They are klipothic. You do not find an easy way out of the prison. And yes, you can call it a conscious and imagination. Let's join these two together and explain what we mean. Your prefrontal cortex determines your ability to understand consequences for your behavior, your actions in the world. In Eastern culture, they call it karma. And so when you are not trapped by fleshy lusts, your soul, your imagination, your brain, your prefrontal cortex in the movie. This is what the scientist in the movie explains. X. I can't use X because of C. We'll call him C. He tells you that your ability to visualize the consequences of your actions, of your fleshy lusts, help you to escape the matrix because you can begin to even think it's possible. Whereas if you follow your fleshy lusts, you are heading towards a milestone, like in pickup artistry. And so the hope that this schema represents, and I know that people say, well, why should I do it when other people don't suffer consequences? right? Why don't I steal money as well? Why don't I be corrupt? Some people have gotten away with things for decades. But, you know, let's look at John 16:33 and see what they have to say over there on the matter. Because they say it best, don't they? John 16. Verse 33. These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. And so, if a man who was crucified just over his words, just for saying he was the Son of God, he was crucified. And 2024 years later, we are talking about it. Consequences exist. And they don't have to take 2,000 years anymore. They're instant because he has already created the schema to beat Metratron's cube. And in the schema, he says he's overcome it. So be of good cheer. Because yes, you'll face tribulation, but he's overcome the world. And that's why documents like this exist. Because I work for the schema. And because he overcame the world, I was able to create this document. They tried to sue me, these people. The wicked one tried to sue me, but they couldn't, because if they did, then I would depose them, and then everything they did would be a crime, officially. And why would a billionaire want to do that? And that's how you game the system. And for me, it was the guilt of secrecy. Don't say a word. It's a secret. And I thought that keeping secrets that weren't my own, of other people's wickedness, was some way good, was some way helping. But all it did was shift these people's consequences onto me. And then I said, why am I always living in hell and fighting demons when they're not even mine? I'm like Annalise from How to Get Away with Murder. I didn't even kill anybody, but I'm running around 3 countries for my life. Why? And so once I shone a light on it, on all of it, because it's not me who set the precedent. This is a legal thing. Spiritual law, soul law. And so, of course, I had to let it go and say everything. Like a purge. Except for the good guys, the real founding fathers. And as we go now to Colossians, we are going to see the direction that we are heading. Now that we've accepted our role in the movie as aliens. Colossians 1:13-14. So, we read, He has delivered us from the power of darkness and conveyed us into the kingdom of the Son of His love, in whom we have redemption through His blood, the forgiveness of sins. So that is a legal promise, people. You have now officially, let's use a nice white page to make sure it's official. You have now in your contract, He has delivered you, us. Rejoice, Jebediah, He has delivered us. Rejoice, Malachi. Remember, children of... Okay, let's not go there. Focus. He has delivered us from the power of darkness. Okay. And conveyed us into the kingdom of the Son of His love. Okay, so we sign the contract. I accept. Okay, and all my entities operating in this dimension. Do you accept? Do you want to take this portal, the red one? Do you want to take the mosaic portal? Or do you want, or the blue portal? Or do you want to take the purple dimension, the purple dimension portal? Because this is the one we chose. With the master keys of Melchizedek, Metratron, Archangel, and let's close with Revelations 21, 1-4. Because you have put your thumb on the screen and signed. So just put your thumb on one of these portals and connect if you agree to be involved in the schema that we've just drawn. Okay, put your thumb on the screen. Okay, so you've selected your reality. And now let's go to Revelations 21 so we can see what you've just accepted, because now this is for people who have accepted. Welcome to the land of the shimmering light. Of the black sun. You heard, there's no sun here. I mean sunlight, because we have light from the real sun. Revelations 21. 1 to 4. Oh, yes, we're back to that. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, so now this is about the New Jerusalem. Now I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Also, there was no more sea. Then I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them. And they shall be his people. God himself will be with them and be their God. And that's what you have now signed up for. You no longer need a church. You are the church. And God is within you. And I'm not saying do not go to church. Of course, go to church. And fellowship with your brethren. And worship with your sisters and brethren and family. And the church isn't a stone building. Okay, we're in 5D now. Use your 5D brain. The church is wherever you find people like you to do the things you enjoy doing. So if you enjoy going to the Renaissance Fair, find all the Lumanians who happen to go to the Renaissance Fair. Because then you'll go together and fellowship and worship life together. So when I say worship, I don't mean stand up with your arms raised singing hymns. That's one way to do it. That's a wonderful way to do it. I make gospel music. Feels like it. Except it's like techno. So you can do whatever you want. No one is checking for you like that in Lumania. And if other people ask you, what are you doing? You're acting in a movie. You're an actor. I have to take public transportation sometimes, and I have to sit there reading lines because I just got them and I don't have time to manifest it. It's instant manifestation. You get given lines, they tell you this is your character, there's a huge monster behind you, and you have to take a break to say this emotional scene, it's the crux of the movie, the climax of the movie, and you just got the script 2 minutes ago. Same thing as life. It's like sales and a cold call. You're not going to escape the cold call. But the question is, are you in prison or are you having fun? And that's how you beat the night game. AKA Metratron's cube. Satisfied? We did it. So look at the description for these videos, and I appreciate you taking the time to take this seminar. Starseed University is a schema. It is rolling out with different kinds of lessons and seminars and specialty subjects and different kinds of series. We will be talking about things like the Anunnaki, soul mating, and things like ultimate vessels of light and stuff like that in other open courses. Of course, if you enjoy the courses in this movie research, then you can go look for creative resemiotization schemas, which is CRS for short, on Reddit and stuff, and there's stuff online, and you can be part of the program. It's called the Star Marine program. And these lessons in the Star Marine program are designed for advanced kind of schematic operation and have a much more rigorous technology involved. And so now, as we close, please imagine yourself in a golden, warm ray of light. You are fine. This was just a movie. Everything's okay. Wake up. You're awake.